Okay, all right, here we go. So, I just came back from my talk at Harrison's, and even though they've got a copy of the video, I thought it's a perfect time to shoot one for people who really don't know the backstory of the South African True Colors and a bit of the history about the author me. So yeah, I just thought I'll do a video and have it on the channel as well, so that people could a little bit understand the story and why they're buying the book and where the history, etc. So my book, The South African True Colors, was released on the 6th of October, and it's based on a true story. As you can see here, it's take it more closer, the author T. Dench Patel, that is me. And so I was born in South Africa in the apartheid era, and I had to go to two schools while growing up. So the English school in the mornings, where we learned English and Afrikaans, and sorry about the noise of the airplane there. Don't know if it's caught on here, but yeah. So English and Afrikaans in the morning school, the English school, as we said, English school, and in the afternoon the Gujarati school, where we learned Hindi and Gujarati, mathematics, and about Hinduism, our culture, and practices, etc. So how did it all start to finally getting published after working on this book for 9 years? So in the year 2000, actually the year 1999, I was 20 years of age. A few days before Christmas, I was held at gunpoint at my first job, and me and my colleague were locked up, and the robber threw the key and got away on foot with 100,000 rands. And to be honest, if that incident didn't take place, then I don't think this book would even exist. And so after that, I left South Africa and really had no idea what I was looking for, and I went traveling. And how this book came to being, really. So in 2008, going a few years after 2000, I was in Madrid, and there was an economic crisis, and I was in a comfortable job, but I was wondering to myself, how long am I going to keep control of this and maintain what I've achieved up to this moment? And to be honest, I wanted another life for me, but I didn't know what it was going to be and what it was going to look like. And then in 2009, say in the beginning of July, I ended up sitting in front of the beach, Magaluf, in Mallorca, Palma de Mallorca, in Spain, and started writing the story, The South African True Colors. And I had, say in 2 weeks, I knew I was going to be broke, absolutely broke, and I didn't know what was going to happen to me next. So I thought I was going to go back to South Africa, but a door opened up and I ended up in Zasvey, Switzerland. And in Zasvey, Switzerland, I continued the story. So by then, say I was writing poetry for 13 years by then, and I've made a decision to follow the path as a writer, which I ignored for a long time because growing up, I think you were credited more in our culture for being a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, and no one really considered arts as a career. And I therefore left it as a hobby. So in Switzerland, with just 90 francs to my name to last me for 3 months, a computer and one bag full of clothes, I was living in a hotel, and to pay for the food and my board, I'd work breakfast shifts and do make beds on some days. And so in that time, there was making beds, and I had a beautiful scenery of the mountains. I had amazing walks. The air was crisp and fresh. And all these ideas started flowing into me, and all these clear thoughts were there, and everything just came out onto the Word documents. And in 4 weeks, I had the draft copy of the South African True Colors, which was a different name at that time. And I stopped telling people about wanting to be a writer because who would want to listen to someone who's broke and listen to their aspirations when all people saw you for was what you were at that moment? And being isolated was a better world, because then I could focus on writing and I didn't have to hear the criticisms about wanting to be a writer. And while people couldn't understand why I isolated myself, I wrote more from my why, and my why became clear. So why I never gave up with the South African True Colors and continued with it and published it. So I have many reasons why I have written the book, but I'm just going to say a few. Why would I, as an Indian person, write the book, and why no other Indian person has written the story about apartheid and growing up in a segregated community, Indian community? Why me? So anyone could have written the story, but it takes some kind of skill to be a writer, to write certain elements of the story. And but really what became evident is this year a mentor, after having few sessions with my mentor, he told me that I was a third culture kid. And with the talks we had about being a third culture kid, he also mentioned about certain thought patterns we have, and certain identities that third culture kids take on. And it became clear where the zest of my motivation came from to continue writing the story. So what became evident in 2009 was basically I felt like you all watched Superman, right? You all know the story of Superman. And what I realized is that I had an authentic power inside of me, which I wasn't listening to. And I kept chasing and pursuing other things and ignoring my authentic power. And the more I wrote, the more louder the voice got, and the more I could not ignore what was happening in South Africa and what was happening, the topics close to my heart, basically. And I realized I can no longer run away from my gifts and talents. So basically, what happened in 2009 was the universe, call it God, the universe, whatever, basically put me in a corner with a bag, a laptop, and 90 francs, and told me, this is your purpose. I really had to either take that or go in the negative direction, in the opposite direction. So I took what was in front of me and I embraced my authentic power and my talent. After all, there was a good story to tell. So the purpose became quite apparent to me, and I realized that I could no longer go around traveling in the world and pursue things out of pleasure and roam around in this world without having a purpose. And I made my purpose this book. So in 2009, which is, I keep referring to 2009 because it was a tough year and a year that I realized the direction I wanted to take in my life. And so by then I lived already in 5 countries and felt like I lived 1,000 lives in one life. And when I spoke to people, I got tired of hearing in different words, that's life. And so I thought, because my style of writing was always in the second person, I really want to make people feel that is it really that's life when a child is abused? Is it really that's life when your child is bullied? Is that life when someone close to you gets stabbed in the street? Is that life until it happens to you? And so I worked, after that 4 weeks of having that draft of the South African True Colors, I realized that I needed to do a lot of work to make the reader feel and be the main character. So there's a few more reasons why I wrote the book. And so as I went around the world, people asked me, they said to me, where are you from? And I said, I'm from South Africa. And then they said, no, but you from India. And I'm like, no, I was born in South Africa, I'm South African. And then they said, but you Indian. And I wanted to really educate people about the 2% of Asians and Indians and the history in South Africa, because very few people knew about that, and very few people even knew that there's an Indian and Asian community in South Africa. And then through my trailer, which you'd find on this channel, T. Dench Patel or T. Patel, I wanted to really put out the amount of murders we have this year especially. I mean, every year we have a high rate of murders, but I really wanted to put it out there. And I put it on the trailer showing that we have 57 murders a day currently up to this point in 2017 and 18, and 40,000 recorded rapes up to this point. I also wanted to meet the young generation in first world countries to third world countries halfway. And I really wanted to give the message to the young generation in first world countries, that this is basically life in South Africa when you read the story. And what do you really have in your hands, and the ticket to life and the start to life that you already have, that most people don't have. And I wanted to show them what they actually got and what they can do with their life. And then I really wanted to show the people in third world countries that no matter what, do not give up on your dreams. If you keep following your passion and your dream and ignore the loud voices outside of you that is telling you you can't, I encourage you to follow your true authentic power and your true authentic calling. I also wanted to have young people reflect when they read the story and see the characters in the book. I wanted to really have them see in the external life who are the people, what are the situations they could be facing, and possibly what could be their consequences. If I can limit the times that they say or they hear that's life, then that's a start. Also wanted to teach kids who don't have a strong family unit about a family unit, and give them a reflection of where they could be standing within their own family. And mostly I also wanted them, young generation, to listen to their gut feeling. Listen to their gut feeling. And I also wanted to be the inspiration for older people, older generation out of Gen Z, to tell them that I thought I wasn't going to make it at one point. In every way you could think of. And this wasn't just on my bucket list. When I started writing in 1997, I said I wanted to be a writer. I didn't know I was going to write a book, and I did it. No matter what your age, don't give up on your dream. Just be consistent and work towards it. And I feel that there's two kinds of books, and I wanted to write a book to inspire, and hopefully I've done a good job. I hope you leave me some reviews. So I hope I've done a good job at inspiring, because I didn't want the inspiration to last weeks. I wanted it to really stick. And to bring this talk to a close, I want to leave you with something. Everyone has a hero in them, and it's up to you if you really want to take the call. And if you feel unfulfilled in your life, then I encourage you to stop ignoring the call and pick up that phone and just see where it takes you. So that's where I'd like to leave it. And also I wanted to, I'm going to be hiding 9 books in London, and I will put it on, I'll post it on Instagram, so for you to follow, and I will then put pictures of where you can find the 9 books in London. And then when you find the book, do take a photo with it and stick it on Instagram. And if you think this is of value to you, do like the video, like my pages, leave a comment, leave a review. It will be appreciated. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience. See you.